Good day. Today we're speaking with Estian. Estian is a businessman here in the Bay of Plenty. He has done exceptionally well, and if I ever had to look for somebody as a mentor, it would be you. So, welcome to to where you are now to the show.
Well, thank you.
Estian, you are a South African.
Yes.
Coming from South Africa, you arrived a few years ago,
Yep.
and you had to work for a boss.
Yes.
All right. And you were also, like most of the people, you were on a normal work visa. That went over to work to a residence visa, and then eventually you are a citizen now.
No, this year.
And still on your
Yep.
way to
Yeah,
citizenship.
still, yeah.
Okay, okay. And working for a boss, what did you learn about? What brought you to where you are today?
Um, I think just the way that they do stuff, the Kiwi way, and they're not really open to changing anything. Learned a lot. They keep the stuff very simple and basic,
Okay.
which is actually not a bad thing. We try to overcomplicate business structures and the way we do stuff, and sometimes we have to take a step back and just think that the easy way, the way that they do it, is probably the best way, especially for New Zealand. New Zealand is set up for New Zealanders.
That's right.
So why overcomplicate it?
And you brought your wife and 3 kids.
Yep, wife and 2 kids, and then the third one was born.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. She's a citizen now, eh?
No,
Not
no,
yet.
because when she was born, we were still on work visas.
All right.
So I think we missed it with a month. Yeah.
And you did the same route as every other person who arrived from South Africa. You first rented a place and moved around, and then eventually you bought your own farm now. If
Yes.
I can call it a farm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so when we arrived in New Zealand, we rented for probably 4.5 years. And then we wanted to jump on the property ladder. And then with having 3 kids, we just decided rural will probably be a bit better, especially with the business as well, just a bit more open space, sheds and stuff. So we bought a rural property.
All right.
Yep.
All right. And coming from South Africa, what did you do there?
South Africa, I did a bit of everything. Once again, maintenance, construction.
Working for yourself.
Yep, working for myself. Yeah, I've never worked for an employer. Left school, and then right off the bat started my own thing with the help of my dad. Just jumped in and got the job done.
Yeah. So your father is still in South Africa?
Yep. Yeah.
So you still got the ties with the old country?
Yes.
Say that?
Yep.
Yeah. Is he planning to come and live with you guys?
No. I
Okay.
think it's that age now where I think we all realize it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that is the biggest problem with us being here. We leave parents behind, and sometimes it tears on the inside of you. So,
Yeah, I think it's that you just need to be open-minded about why you moved here.
it is.
There's reasons you did it. And I think the longer you live in New Zealand, the more you forget that. But just go back to the basics once again. There's a very specific reason that we are here.
And the thing is, everybody has got his own reason, but they are so similar actually.
Yep.
So South Africans got basically nearly the similar reason why we left. And normally it's for better area for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better for yourself, freedom, all those type
Yep.
of things. So working in South Africa with what you had working in New Zealand, how much does that differ?
Day and night. So I think the one thing that I realize more and more is in SA you had your contacts, you had your people. You can pick up the phone and technically you can get work.
Yep.
But in New Zealand it's a bit difficult. You have to build that network again, and that takes years. It's not as easy. And the way that they do stuff here is a bit different. So if you don't adapt, you're probably going to be left behind. But it's a day and night difference.
Yep. So you arrive here, you've got no connections, or real friends, anything, and you got to rebuild from day one, basically.
Yep.
Yep. How did you get to the name of Facilitate? Where does that come from?
I worked for a facilities management company. So I started off as a carpenter.
Okay.
And then I changed my visa because I moved employers. So
So you started off on the tools.
Yep, started off on the
Okay,
tools.
okay.
Then I moved into a sales position for facilities management company. And then from there, I've built this branch to a certain extent. And then I saw a couple of gaps. And I thought, I can do it differently. So facilitate was actually, we facilitated a lot of the services because I didn't have any staff. I was on the tools myself. Started off with paint work, handyman work, stuff like that. So I facilitated a lot of services, use subcontractors,
So
suppliers.
right in the beginning with Facilitate, you were the guy on the tools as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not for too long, fortunately. I think about 4 months. But there's, if you are just aware of what's going on around you, you can actually do a lot of stuff and facilitate a lot of stuff because there's a need from the client to get the job done.
Yep.
There's a need from the client to get certain stuff over the line. And yeah, so that's how Facilitate started, as wheeling and dealing. And then we moved on to doing the majority of the work in-house.
Okay. So in the beginning, you used subcontractors and those type of people.
Yep.
To employ staff in New Zealand is sometimes always also daunting because there's a lot of extra laws and labor laws, labor related stuff like ICC, stuff that you didn't even have in South Africa.
Yeah.
Was that easy for you?
Well, I think I probably walked into it a bit blind, so not aware of exactly what's going on. I think you figure that out over the first year or two. One thing is the taxes only comes a bit later.
That's a problem, eh?
So everyone at the beginning said, "Oh, wait for financial year number 2, and then you'll start to get hit with all the taxes." But employing people is always difficult, especially in New Zealand. Minimum 40 hours a week. The wages aren't as low as SA.
That's right.
You get skilled guys, and they come at a cost. Vehicles, you have to add vehicles. You can't.
All of that is another cost.
You can't throw them on the back of a ute or a bakkie and drive to site. Doesn't work like that.
Yep.
So your capital expense just to get everything up and running is quite expensive.
And the one problem that I see from my side is if you suddenly need somebody in a specific role, you just can't stop somewhere and there will be 5 guys that can do that. You sometimes need laborers, but you don't have them.
I think what I realized is even when I worked for an employer, there's not multi-skilled guys here. The multi-skilled guys come from overseas, like SA and stuff like that. So if you want someone for my industry that can do garden maintenance work, paint work, and a bit of carpentry, you don't really get those guys
As one person. Okay.
And I think that's the problem. That's why if you look at a New Zealand business, typical New Zealand business, they only specialize in 1 or 2 things.
That's right.
Because they've got a carpenter or they've got garden guys or garden services guys.
Yep.
So to get someone that's multi-skilled onshore, it's not always easy.
You are bringing people over from South Africa from time to time.
Yep.
Was the immigration process in that an easy part or not?
Fairly easy.
Okay.
Fairly easy. I think it was easier a couple of years ago. They've tightened the belt a bit.
Okay.
Made
There's certain rules and regulations that you need to do.
Yeah, the
before.
compliance is getting a bit more difficult. Also, they look at your financials.
Okay.
So if they don't think you are financially strong enough, they won't actually give you the tokens to bring people
makes
over.
sense as well. Because a lot of guys have been stuck here. They just came over, then the company goes bang.
Yep.
So, yeah. From your side, running Facilitate the way that you do, and I want to go ahead and say you have been nominated again for the Runga Business Chamber.
Yeah.
So that nominations will still play out through the year as we go further.
Yeah, I think the award ceremony is this Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I unfortunately can't. I was invited, sorry, but I can't make it. But yeah, congratulations, point one, on being nominated. I mean, let's hope the award gets thrown your side as well now. So it'll be just another feather in your cap. But you do things a bit different.
Yep.
So what do you do different and why?
So client service in New Zealand is not really top of the list. If you look at the majority of the companies, it's like they expect work.
Yeah.
So they don't really go out and hunt for work. We do it a bit differently. So we focus on a client and we build that client up and make sure that we deliver good service, reliable service, and of high quality.
Okay.
That's a bit different and reactive as well. Someone phones us, a client phones us and say, listen, want a quote, we make sure we get there as soon as possible,
Yeah.
price it up. If they approve the quote, then we make sure within 2 weeks we're on site at the longest.
Or you don't delay the
Don't delay
going
it.
forward
No.
process. Yeah.
So that's on the pricing side and to keep the clients happy and also just to be active with them.
Yeah.
You want to stay relevant with the clients. And the only way to stay relevant with the clients is to go and drink a coffee and just keep in touch. And then on the work side is once again the multi-skilled guys. So that's why we have a lot of guys or a lot of technicians that's immigrants. Because they do like the multi-skilled stuff. And I think that's where we're a bit different. So we can send one technician to do multiple type of work.
That's right.
And they can communicate with the client. And that's a big thing here as well, is your technicians can't really communicate with the clients, and then the clients gets annoyed.
Yeah. Well, they don't know what's going on. That's the other problem. Yeah.
So, and then obviously to keep relevant with the clients, you need to make sure that you understand their needs.
Yeah.
Don't let them phone you. Find a solution, find a solution, and give them, put 5 or 6 options on the table if there's so many options.
That's right.
The status quo of, I'll do the job that you said I must do. If you want me to paint that wall, that's fine. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of prep work, drip stopping and all of that. And a painter's going to say, it's not my job, get someone else in to do it. Where we say, no, we'll paint the wall from start to finish. We'll do all the prep work.
Yep.
And afterwards, we can hang the curtain rails. One technician. And that's the difference. The feedback that we keep on getting from our clients is the fact that we are multi-skilled,
Okay.
that we show up, get the job done, and our prices are relatively in line.
All right.
Yeah.
One thing I got to ask you about, and a lot of people would wonder about this. You guys do a lot of outside work as well. And New Zealand is not known for having the most long summers where there's no rain and stuff. So what do you do once the rain pops up?
Well, depending on what type of work you're doing, and we know paint work in winters is pretty difficult.
Yep.
But I think we've gotten smarter over the years. Is we try to schedule the exterior work for summer, summer and spring.
And your clients understand this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's where the communication side comes in as well. If we submit a quote for paintwork and they want to go ahead, we'll let them know, listen, by end of April, we need to be done here.
That's right.
Otherwise, there's going to be delays in scaffolding and EWP equipment, and there might be variations. So let's try to avoid that.
Yep.
Let's schedule it either before end of April or let's look at after November. So we communicate that, but we try to do the exterior work in summer months and then interior work in the winter months.
All right. And the client is happy with that. They don't have other expectations.
No, I think that's where we communicate it with them. We don't do a quote and then they approve it and say, oh, listen, we can only start in 6 months' time. Yeah. That's what we're trying to avoid. So luckily for us, it's because we've got different divisions. Yep. We can move the guys around.
Oh, okay.
So, if we can't paint, we can put them on carpentry work and various other stuff. So, yeah.
So the painters can go in and do carpentry, which is indoors if the weather is bad and so forth.
A lot of employers only, in the employment agreements, only gives 30 hours guaranteed. We try to be different. We said 40 hours, so we keep the guys busy for 40 hours minimum. A lot of employers say, oh, well, if there's only 30 hours of work, sorry, you have to stay at home. We've been fortunate. We've really almost never been in that situation where we couldn't give the guys minimum 40 hours. And I think, once again, that comes from the scheduling. Martina does the scheduling.
Okay.
She's pretty clued up with that. So we know where to schedule, how to schedule, and what type of technicians to schedule where.
That's right. If you have to think back about the one big problem you had under, let's say, underemployment, what would that problem be?
I, probably two things that stands out. Sick leave
Okay.
and public holidays, what they call the stat days. Because every day that you don't work, you can't generate revenue.
That's right.
Luckily for us, we don't have 20 stat days a year, luckily, because for the employer, that's pretty difficult. And then also the labour hours. So New Zealand works, you charge per hour.
Yeah.
Your waged staff charge per hour. So if they leave the office, if they pick up a trailer in the morning, they stop at the office, then they log their hours. But that's technically dead hours.
That's
you can't
right.
invoice for
That's
that.
right.
So biggest challenge is, I would say, is the labour hours, to manage that, because you can burn quite quickly on that.
And let's talk about finding new clients. What was your biggest challenge in that?
Not being from New Zealand. I think
Okay.
that's the issue. They
That
can't
counted
relate.
against you.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So it does take a while to get a client, or to convince a client that we're not that bad. But to find clients, depending on what type of business you have. If you have a business where you just go and sell one service, it's fairly easy. I think we've overcomplicated it, facilitate for ourselves.
Okay.
Because we walk in and the clients don't really know exactly what we do, because we do a lot of stuff. So sometimes to convince them or to make them understand what we do and what type of services we can deliver, that's probably the difficult thing. But to get clients here, pretty difficult.
Okay.
That's especially Tauranga, pretty tight-knit community. They like to keep it under the locals.
Yep.
But if you can make peace with that, and if you can realize that that's what it is, then it makes it a bit easier to mitigate that.
And eventually you have to become a local.
Yep.
And it just takes time. Yeah.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
takes time. So for anybody that's in your shoes, that's thinking about going on their own or starting a new business, what would you suggest for them to do first, and before they even go there?
Well, let's take construction industry for instance. There's a lot of work out there, but identify one or two clients.
Yep.
And keep on servicing them. Don't go to everyone and hand out your flyers and your business card to 10 or 15 possible clients. Focus on one or two clients. Make sure you deliver that service. And it's going to take a year or two to build up your name. And they quickly forget the type of service that you can deliver if you stuff up once. So it's that consistency that's important. For anyone who wants to start a business in New Zealand, I think keep it small, point number one. Don't blow it up too quickly.
Okay.
It's not sustainable. I think New Zealand is built, and if you look at all the businesses, all the contractors, the guys that does work for us, they are what they call single contractors. Now, single contractors can be guys from 1 to 4 employees plus the employer. But that's what we see as a single contractor.
All right.
Keep it small. I think and keep it basic.
That's right.
There's the nice thing about being an employer here is like Xero, your accounting software, stuff like that. It makes it fairly easy. So your administrative side is not that bad. Your accounting software does a lot of stuff for you, so that takes a lot of load of the employer.
So you don't need to keep a bookkeeper in the office to do that every day.
No.
Because that was the thing in South Africa. Everybody had a bookkeeper sitting in the office, earning a salary, and only doing the books.
Yep.
So
and I think you probably use Pastel as well, the accounting software.
Back in the day, yeah.
So that's way more complicated than Xero, for instance. Also, the operational software. There's heaps of stuff like Fergus, Jobber, Simpro, all of that type of stuff that you can use that as scheduling for your technicians, and you can invoice directly out of that. So they've made it easy.
All right.
And that's awesome. In terms of starting your own business, I think once again, just keep it small.
Yep.
Systematically grow, organically grow.
So the guy's just starting with his old car and work until he has earned some money before buying a new one or better, bigger one. That's probably the right way to go for a start.
That's the guy that makes the most profit as well. Keeping your overhead very low. That's where you can maximize your profit. If you drive an old vehicle, you drive an old vehicle.
That's right.
You're the guy making the money at the end of the day.
But the client's not worried really about what you drive.
No.
So totally
No, I
different
think-
than South Africa.
No, I think the perception changed a bit.
You
New
think
Zealand
so?
was always like they're not really
Mm.
that materialistic. I think it changed a bit.
Yeah.
But there's a good balance. But the vehicles as well and tools and equipment is fairly
Mm.
cheap in consideration.
With South Africa then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but even you can buy a work van here for $4,500.
Oh, that's not bad, yeah.
No, it's well used, but
Mm.
you don't drive far.
That's
just
right. That's right.
Take you long to get you.
And the fact
from
that
point A to
it
point
does
B.
it will have a waff and everything else, so you would know that the
Yeah,
vehicle's
absolutely.
not that bad.
No. So I think keep your overheads low.
Mm.
That's, and that's why I say keep it small.
Yep.
If you keep it small, you maximize your profit.
All right.
I think the single contractors at the end of the day probably makes more money than the bigger guys.
Yeah, it is. It is, eh?
Yeah.
And
You cha-
they
you
can
chase-
also go and sleep tonight without worrying what the guys
Exactly.
have stuffed up.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
And with the weather that's pretty temperamental, take the cyclones
Mm.
3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, Gabriella.
Yeah.
That was quite significant because there was the first cyclone in Jan, and then once again in March or somewhere. So it was 2 cyclones, and then the third one was, I think, in May again.
Okay.
And if you have employees, that's bad.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep them busy.
They can't work and you have to pay.
Yep.
That's
And that's the
bit of
quickest
a
way to
bad-
burn through money.
Oh, yeah, bad catch-22
Yeah.
at that stage. Yeah. Let's go back a year or so. We had a bit of a bad financial crisis in the country. I won't say it's totally over, but I do believe everybody had to relook at their businesses and everybody had to relook and say, okay, the amount of work coming in is probably not that large anymore, or the goalposts have shifted. What has happened to you guys?
Oh, well, there were 2 things that happened. So residential went down. So all the contractors from residential moved into commercial,
Okay.
which made it a bit competitive because they work at lower margins. So we had to relook at our margins to stay competitive.
All right.
Suddenly there were price checking going on from the clients. Their budgets were squeezed. So there was a total reshuffle of the market,
All right.
which was quite complicated, but keeping the overheads fairly low, I think that's probably the thing that saved us. The other thing is the fact that we have multiple divisions.
Yep.
We could shift the guys around, multi-skilled as well. So
That's
if we
right.
only had painters, for instance, it would have been
It wouldn't have a
difficult.
problem.
So yeah,
But suddenly, for every quote that had to be done, I know even the guys from Hamilton, the guys from Auckland, they all came to quote in Tauranga suddenly.
Yep.
Because they didn't have enough work in those areas.
Yep.
So how did that go?
Well, that's still ongoing.
Okay.
So we
Oh, it's
see
still
that
happening.
So we see that on a monthly basis, where the Auckland guys come in and do it at rates that we can't compete with.
Why would they go so low? Or is there something wrong
Well,
with their system?
Two things. So they have guys working for them that's not on the residency pathway. So,
Okay.
and if you really look at that carefully, then they can bring in the guys that pays $25 an hour. Where, let's say, if you want to qualify for residency, minimum $31, $32, $33. I don't know what that is now.
So their labor could be cheaper, point one.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
They rent a house. They go in. They do carpentry or reclads or paint work. Get in, get out, and there they go.
All right.
So you're always going to have that as if Auckland picks up and that market is more active, then the regions gets a bit more relief.
Okay.
And then we can go back to normal. But that's not the case. We see it. We saw it a month ago. Submitted a quote, and I think we were a couple of $100 more expensive. They chose the Auckland company,
Okay.
and they got it done. The guys went in there and did a good job. So it's not like they do a substandard job.
Yeah.
But so you're competing with that. There's also a lot of our clients, especially the commercial clients, head offices in Auckland. So even though the asset is here in Tauranga, the deals getting done or
done in Auckland.
gets made in Auckland.
Yeah.
And then they've got their preferred contractors that services the regions.
So you got to take your car from time to time and go and say hi in Auckland.
Yep.
Yep.
Not as easy. But once again, I think if you can make peace with this is how the market is set up, you probably structure your business accordingly.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're gonna moan the whole time.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. So maybe just change the way that you look at stuff.
And you think those guys contracting or trying to contract this side as well, is that the thing that's going to stay, or eventually do you see them moving back to?
If you look, I think historically, let's say over the past 7 or 8 years, I've been here now for 7 years, there's a lot of franchises. So that's one thing about New Zealand that I've noticed, franchises.
Yep.
As there's a franchise for this and that, and just everywhere. And that's what the guys are doing. They're setting up franchises to get the national contracts. Because if you participate in a tender, they ask you, are you national? Or are you North Island, South Island? If you tick the box to say you're North Island, and you can say, well, I've got satellite offices in every region, you'll probably get the tender. They'll award the tender to you. So that's why a lot of the guys has got satellite branches, which they run as a franchise. So that's, once again, the New Zealand way of doing stuff. It's difficult to compete with that, but that's probably going to stay.
Yeah.
That's probably, and you have to make peace with that.
That's right. Have you seen any of the smaller players, probably the guys that do more household type of things? Have you seen any of them come in and trying to be into the commercial space and not have the right manpower, not have the right tools? Have you seen that happen or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's two things. It's health and safety compliance. They fall out the bus there.
All right.
They don't have the rigid health and safety systems that what we have. And the service delivery is not the same as the commercial guys. One thing about the commercial guys is everyone set up their systems and processes to service the clients fairly quickly.
That's right.
Or they try to do that. The residential guys comes in and they treat it as a residential client, which not.
Yep.
It's much more corporate to a certain extent. Your commercial client has got a head office and they've got systems and processes, and this is what they want done.
You need to have certain things already in play and certain insurances and.
But in reality, for every 5 residential guys that comes in, 2 falls away, and there's another 5 guys coming in. So that's never going to end. You're going to have that influx of residential contractors coming into the commercial market. That's just the way that it is. And I think that keeps the prices true to a certain extent. Otherwise, if you give free rein to the commercial contractors, they'll just inflate the prices. So don't always like to say it, but there's a bit of a balance that the residential guys brings in.
What happens if that residential guy can't go through with the contract and he's, let's say, done 10%, 20% of the contract, and now suddenly he realizes this is totally out of his reach? What then? Do they renegotiate the full price, or would they sell it off to somebody else?
Well, I think a lot of commercial clients are open for variations.
Okay.
That's just part of how it works. But you don't see that a lot. It's not like guys don't see through the contracts, or we don't hear a lot about it.
Okay.
So I think, fortunately, I still think that the tradies that's in New Zealand, the New Zealanders and everyone else, is pretty good.
Yep.
There's not a lot of fly-by-nights. We don't see
that's really
that.
like that. Yeah, it's not a lot of fly-by-nights. No.
And the fly-by-nights, you filter them out fairly quickly. The system kicks them out.
Yep.
So they'll have 1 or 2 good years and then they're done.
That's right.
So fortunately, I think the tradies in New Zealand are fairly good overall.
Even if they only specialize in their one field of expertise, they're very good in that field. Yeah.
Yes.
So one thing you would have done different, if you have to restart facilitating now, what would you have done different?
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, you've done a heck of a lot in this space, to be quite frank. I was amazed when you started off for the first time, and I thought, geez, okay, are you going to pull it off? And you did. And then just I think, are you going to pull that off? And you did. And you kept on pulling stuff off that I thought, wow, this is magnificent where you are going with this. But if you think back to day one, what else would you have done that is totally different than the way that you have done it?
Probably out of a sustainability point of view, as specialize in not 10 things, rather 2 or 3.
Okay.
And probably not get an office as quickly as what we did, because I think that damaged the margins a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, I think the business, how we structured it, and the reason why we're doing it, I'm pretty confident to say that I'll do exactly the same.
Yeah. So you've got what different sections do you have? You've got painting and.
Yeah, so we've got a carpentry division, painting division, Goodness, I must think. There's actually quite a lot of stuff.
That's why I was thinking there's a lot of these.
We've got reactive maintenance. We do school renovations,
Yep.
paint work, plaster work, stopping, garden and landscaping and maintenance, water blasting. We still do commercial water blasting. That's really just washing commercial buildings, and I think that's probably the biggest side of it. We've started concrete, specialized concrete, beginning of this year, where we look at all your waterproofing applications on car parks, block walls, tilt slabs, stuff like that. But we try to keep it in whatever project we take on. So let's say it's a renovation, we can keep our carpenters busy.
Okay.
All our multi-skilled guys can do the carpentry, the paint work, all the finishing work, the handyman stuff. And yeah, so I think we cover probably 60% of what you
can do.
what you can do in the construction industry.
I got a question for you. Let's say you're halfway through a specific thing that you've quoted for. Now you see, oh, well, there's more to this. And it's going to cost you a lot more. Will the clients negotiate around that? I'm not talking that you made a boo-boo with the quoting in the beginning. Let's say your quoting was on par, you're already there. But now you arrive and you say, okay, this walls, let's say they've got damp on the inside, the walls that you didn't plan to remove must be removed and so forth.
So I think it's a way that you set up your quotes to start off with. So I think you learn that fairly quickly, your tags, notes, and exclusions, and to provide a proper methodology on how you're going to do the work. Because and we see that a lot of with our subcontractors, they give us one-liners and say material and labor, X amount. And that's dangerous.
And that's
so,
wide, eh?
Yeah. So we've got a QS department that goes through the quotes, because not all projects have got drawings on. So you go and scope it and you measure up and take photos, and then we communicate that to the client. But as long as your quote is set out properly, then you mitigate a lot of those unforeseen stuff.
Okay.
If you put in a methodology, how are you going to do it, and your notes and tags on what you can't foresee, like the non-invasive stuff, because we can't see what's going on inside a wall.
That's right.
So, but the clients are fairly open to that. If you miss-scoped, that's your problem.
Okay. So the clients are willing to relook at that if there's a good reason behind it.
Yes, commercial guys, not residential.
So how accurate is your QS?
No, good. So I think we've got it down to the T, because we do a lot of different type of quotes.
I mean, that could be dangerous if that person is doing it wrong at the end of the day.
Oh, well, my background is pricing. I've priced my whole life. So I know where all the obstacles might be. And the guys that we have in the office, the QS department, they are awesome. So they go through the stuff. We do review meetings before we submit a big quote. Not the smaller stuff. The smaller stuff that's fine. But the bigger quotes, we sit down, we go through the scope, we sit with the operations manager.
Okay.
They review the labor hours. So you make sure, point number one, that we don't expect any variations. And if there's variations, then that's unforeseen.
Okay.
And we note that in the quote.
So what do you do, except that you can move your guys inside, but what do you really do when it rains and you haven't got anything else? Do you just keep on paying the guys?
And then you pick up the phone and you ask the client to say, listen, we're low on work. Do you have anything that you can keep our guys busy? We've got good clients.
Okay.
And if we really have to pick up the phone, they'll think of something. It might not be
the weather is something you can't predict.
Very temperamental. But I must say, we bought how many gazebos?
Okay.
So, and the guys do it. We've got an awesome team. They're willing to work whenever.
All right.
So if the weather's not too bad, then they'll jump in and get it done under a gazebo.
Put a gazebo up and just go on.
Yeah, they do that. So
yeah, that's interesting. So if I may ask the future question, where do you see yourself going forward? What's still up the alley? What else do you want to try?
Well, I think there's still a lot of revenue to generate in Tauranga. So before you go to other regions, we are slowly making progress in Hamilton and in Auckland with our key clients. So we'll keep on servicing them, and then the long-term plan with PSS from that base is to expand the region.
Okay.
Hamilton will expand that, because once you do Hamilton, you've got access to a pretty big area of Waikato. Our competition is everywhere. So, we always have to be aware of that. But I think long term, we want to go to Hamilton and Auckland, expand that a bit, and then focus more on Tauranga
Yeah.
with the services that we currently deliver. Unfortunately, if you look at Tauranga, there's only X amount of big clients,
That's
like
right.
anchor
That's
clients
right.
as such. So you're going to run out of clients to a certain extent.
If you really want to go big at the end
Yep.
of the day. Yep.
But if you want to compete with the big guys, then you need to add a lot more systems,
Oh, yeah.
and that might be difficult. I think the long term would be just to get national contracts,
Oh, yeah.
regional contracts. That's a bit of sustainability. So I think the word for this year is sustainability, to
Oh,
be
yeah.
honest.
And if you can do the Hamilton, Tauranga, Auckland triangle, I mean, you can easily interchange vehicles between here and Hamilton or here and Auckland. But if you have to start now thinking Christchurch as well, I mean, it's a whole new logistical nightmare just to get people down to Christchurch.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
that easy.
Definitely not South Island. I think that's a different ball game.
Oh, yeah.
There's different players there. They've got their own tight-knit community there,
Set
once
up
again.
already, yeah.
So I think to penetrate that's going to be almost impossible. I think we've got good clients in Hamilton and in Auckland. We've decided not to grow this year into those regions.
Okay.
Get the foundation right, and with the markets that's up and down, the volatility, we need to make sure that Tauranga is the main hub for us.
Yeah.
Because then it's easy to expand.
2026 is still going to be, of all predictions, not the easiest year on the books. So, what are you guys going to do different this year than in 2025?
Well, I think to onboard new clients is probably not the easiest thing. Once again, not this year. One thing that you have to keep in mind: everyone's going to hold on to their wallet.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you're going to get new clients, don't know if you're going to. The budget for a lot of the clients are already overspent. Capex and Opex is already pushing the ceiling. So, that's a bit difficult. I think there's going to be probably 2 or 3 restructures during the course of the year.
All right.
And it's not necessarily to say that retrenchment is on the cards. Definitely not that area.
Yep.
But as a business, if you don't adapt, you're going to be left behind. And then you won't have the momentum to go into 2026, December and Jan and Feb next year, when the quieter seasons are actually.
So December and January is basically your quiet season.
Yes. Yep.
Is that because everybody's on leave,
Yes.
or people don't want to be disturbed? And
Well, a
Lying
lot
on
of
the
our
beach.
clients, their financial year ends are end of December. So they'll try to wrap everything up before November. And then, everyone's on leave. And school only starts first week in Feb.
February.
And there's a lot of people that's then still away. Then they get back to work, and then there's a slow period. So that only really picks up from March.
Okay.
Although that's the summer season,
Yeah.
it's still technically the quiet season.
This is also the good time for painting and those type of things when, so they want to lie on the beach and you can't paint. And
No.
It's a catch-22, but yeah.
Yeah, so for 2026, I think it's going to be a difficult year. So a lot of guys, I think your single contractors will be okay.
Yeah.
For the bigger companies, that's where you'll have to manage your cash flow, your clients, your budgets. That's going to become difficult because the market, everyone's competing for the same market. So your margins are going to be down.
That's right.
How do you stay relevant? And I think the only way to stay relevant is just to restructure.
Yeah. A lot of the bigger companies has retrenched last year. Do you think that will go forward this year as well, as soon as they start struggling?
We speak to a lot of our, call it competition, and everyone's struggling with margin, and that margin is going to have a knock-on effect to let people go.
Okay.
So it's not a bad time to get rid of the dead weight.
Yep.
And I think a lot of companies are using this card to get rid of the guys that they don't really want to have on their books, which is not a bad thing. That's a good shuffle.
Yep.
And I think that's probably healthy. Although the employment rate I saw is up, but also in saying that means we're getting a bit of a better quality applicant.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's going to be a shuffle on the labor side, clients as well. I think that's where client service is going to be very important, because the clients still need to spend money, your commercial guys.
Yeah, they still need to.
Yep.
They still need to. And, I mean, stuff still needs to be washed. Stuff still needs to be repaired and so forth. So, Did you find that people from 2025 has pushed jobs out a lot, or that they keep on doing this?
Oh yeah, we've been told that they don't have budget, so that's only lined up for 2027 or 2026, end of 2026. So yeah, definitely. But that's where we discuss the stuff with the client. So we still submit heaps of quotes,
All right.
knowing that we're not going to get it this year. But at least we give them a forecast of what the spend is going to be for the next financial year.
And then, I mean, you're still out there in the market. People still see, okay, the guys are still here.
Yep.
Facilitate is still operating.
Yes,
So,
and that's where the relevant, you need to stay relevant comes in. So yeah.
2027, or let me say in 2026, 2027. Positive or negative for you?
I think June 2027, it will be positive.
Okay.
There's massive reshuffles with our clients and their budgets. And even now, what's considered as CapEx and OpEx. A lot of the stuff, it's what was OpEx is now CapEx and vice versa.
Okay.
So once again, stay aware or be aware of what your clients' spending habits are, how their budgets looks.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of stuff is going to be deferred to June 2027,
Alright.
when the new financial year for the majority of the commercial clients are.
You guys do a lot of work in the private sector and normal houses as well, or not at all?
Only when asked. So we
Okay.
don't go and market that.
Oh, so you're not actively marketing?
No.
Okay.
No. So if a client asks us, listen, paint our house, we will. We're not the cheapest.
Yeah.
The residential guys are going to be way cheaper.
Okay.
But we'll get the job done. Health and safety. Health and safety is important here.
It is.
And then quality of work.
I've seen quite a few weird things under the health and safety.
Yep.
What guys do that they're not supposed to do, but yeah.
We can't take that chance because work safe.
Oh yeah.
They'll fine you $200,000 plus. So your liability, your risk is for the directors of the company is
It's
pretty high.
Yeah. So what happens if one of your guys get hurt somewhere while doing work for you?
So
What is the procedure there, and what happens?
point number one, don't try to hide it or sugarcoat it or
It is
sweep
what it
under the
is.
rug.
Yep.
It is what it is. Notify whoever, and then make sure before you start your health and safety paperwork is in order. Because an accident, they call it an accident for a reason. It's not on purpose.
Yep.
So that's going to happen. Just how you mitigate that and how you prevent that or try to prevent that as best as possible. But you don't have control over what the guy's going to do on site. You can give him all the tools, all the paperwork. You can train him.
Yep.
What he does on site, if he decides to take his skill saw and cut his arm off, that's on him.
And sometimes they just think about something else and they do a misstep and they
That happens.
hurt their knees or stuff like that. So.
The biggest problem is people or employers try to hide that. So when you do your health and safety accreditation, then they'll ask you, show me your incident reports. If you give them a blank incident report for the last year, they're not stupid.
No.
They're going to say, okay, well, something's not right here. So
Either you
that's
had
why.
no people working for you,
Yeah.
or you're lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got an awesome health and safety manager, Barry. He's onto
Okay.
it. So no, he's onto it, and he keeps the guys true. Make sure everyone's safe.
And that's ongoing training that you need to do with them.
Yeah. So EWP training, working at heights,
Okay.
confined space. Because if you crawl under a house, for instance, that's confined space.
That's right.
So you have to have all that compliance, and we operate big machines. There's knuckle booms and stuff. That's massive stuff, and they go 15 to 18 meters high. That's quite a way up. So
Large stumble from there.
So the guys need to be confident. The only way to be confident is to get the training and then to do the work constantly. But you need someone next to you that's confident, that can show you how to operate it.
That's right.
So it's ongoing training, especially for the bigger companies. You have to comply.
Yep.
And a lot of our clients, if you don't have the right accreditation, you can't do work for them.
Okay. Which is a good thing as well. Yeah. So, yeah. I think we should start wrapping this up. But if there's a new player in the market, and I don't care if it's your industry or any industry, what would you advise a new player in the market? What would they have to do in order to be successful?
I think keep it simple. And I've said it before. Keep it simple. Get your one anchor client.
Yep.
and focus on them. And don't try to go too big too quickly. And I'm the last person to say this, but try to keep it small as long as possible. Build the systems around it. Use your one client to build the systems and get that momentum. And for client service.
Yep.
Client service is big. Keep your prices fair because you are going to be caught out.
Working from home for a newcomer, I mean, I know you guys have got a magnificent office and it looks posh and everything else, but working from home, is that seen as a negative thing or a positive thing?
No, well, we had not a lot of pushback from our clients, but they did ask us, I don't have an office, you work from home. So you can't go and sell $1 million job or sale to a client and you work from home. That doesn't sit well.
Yep.
So you have to have a base, but you don't have to have the biggest office in the world.
That's right.
Because a big office is anything from $60,000 to $100,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Especially with the warehouse and stuff like that. So, no, in New Zealand, it's fine.
Yep.
If you work from home, that's fine.
People don't look down on you.
No, not at all. But it's difficult to make the big sales with your home address.
Okay.
So, yeah, keep that in mind. But go rent a place for $15,000 a year, 40 squares office.
That's right.
And at least you have got an office address, which makes a difference.
And probably only rent it once you have your first client or so.
Yeah.
Once you start making money. So.
Yeah. And owners needs to be on the tools as well.
Okay.
If you've got overheads, and I think probably that's where a lot of people will burn, is they've got a lot of overheads in the office that's not generating income. New Zealand is set up, everyone needs to charge their hours.
Yep.
You can't be a dead overhead. So the accounting team, yes, obviously they're not going to charge their hours out. That's a function that needs to happen.
That's right.
The QS team, they price to get work. So that's a function that you can't really allocate hours to.
Yep.
You can.
You can't charge anybody really for that.
15-minute increments, you can do that. But so there's going to be those overheads, dead cost. But for as best as possible, try to get everyone to invoice labor hours. And at least then you'll generate the revenue.
That's right.
And the profit. But I think the biggest thing is dead weight.
And how do I, as a newcomer, really know what to charge per hour? Well, let's say I'm a single one-man band doing something. How do I know I'm not undercutting myself?
Well, I think everyone does that at the start.
Yep.
So everyone says, go in for $50 an hour sell, residential, or $60 an hour sell, and you'll be okay. And then only 6 or 7 months later, when you start to actually look what the profit you make on a job, then you realize, okay, no, I'm not charging enough. And remember that tax that comes in that you need to pay, 7 April. Everyone knows the 7 April deadline. That's the kicker.
Yeah.
And you only find that out after the fact. So in the region of $55 to $70 an hour, depending on how specialized you are. I know the boiler makers and guys like that, they go to 85, 90, 95 an hour, but that's specialized, and the market's willing to pay that. Residential, 50 to 55 an hour.
Right. So probably the guy that would need a warehouse and a place to work would have to charge more than the guy coming to your home with his older car and so forth.
Yes.
So just to keep the margins correct.
Well, the question is what's a margin? You can talk about margins the whole day. Every company's margin is going to be different. Your gross margin and your net margin. It all depends on the type of work that you do.
Yeah.
So, and your accountant can technically sit with you and work out those margins, even if the margin changes every month.
That's right.
Zero is nice. It gives you a budget and a budget variance. So you put in your budget like you want to do it, and then you work with the actuals. So it's unfortunately, it's after the fact.
Yeah, it is.
But you can go back on historic data and see, okay, my margin is constantly X, GPS, 40% or 30%.
That's right.
But it's not enough to pay my overheads. So what I need to do, I need to either have to cut my overheads. If I can't cut my overheads, I have to increase my revenue.
That's right.
To get a bigger margin. I think there's a lot of people will say, I'm fine. I can do my own finances. and that's where they fall out of the bus. Because if GST comes into play, tax,
yeah.
ACC,
Oh, yeah.
all those stuff, and
It's so easy to forget that stuff.
ACC is expensive.
It is.
Yep.
It is. So
There's a lot of compliance stuff that no one talks about, and then the accountants will be easy to say after the financial year end, oh, but you can do tax pooling.
yeah,
Do tax pooling,
yeah.
and you just fall behind more and more, because to catch up to the tax pooling
Oh,
is
you've got to
difficult,
earn
and then
basically double it.
from year to the provisional tax, that also comes into play.
Yep.
So suddenly you're sitting with the revenue that you generate, but you're using the new revenue, the profit, to pay last year's taxes,
That's right.
and then the provisional tax, and the ACC.
So how do you budget for tax?
We've got a couple of accounts, separate check accounts. So money comes in, and then we distribute to wage account.
So X percentage of that
Yes.
pool will go to
Yep.
this, that, and what about stuff breaking? I mean, that's not something you can really plan ahead.
No, I think the stuff that breaks the most is vehicles. The power tools are actually awesome. The Makita
Oh,
power
okay.
tools, they
Okay.
don't break.
Okay.
We've had them for 4 or 5 years now,
All right.
and they still go. Not a lot of stuff that breaks. I must say the power tools,
Which is a good thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Vehicles is probably your in terms of expense, is probably the worst. Your WAFs, your regos that you
Yeah.
need to do, and then your servicing. You send your vehicle in for a new WAF, and then they send you a list of stuff that you need to fix before you can get the WAF.
That's right.
And then you easily drop $1,000 on new bearings or wheel bearings or stuff like
It all
that.
adds up.
Yep.
All $1,000 doesn't sound a lot, but
Yeah.
do it for 10 cars or
So
5
then it
cars.
also goes on to what type of vehicle to buy.
Yeah.
Like the Toyota High Aces, that's mean. That's reliable. But your Serenas, for instance, the vehicles that we started off with, nice vehicles, and you can take out the seats
Okay.
and use it as a van, but wheel bearings and stuff like that, that's just constant. They're not a workhorse.
And what about fuel consumption?
Fuel consumption is not that bad. I think we average about 9.5 liters per 100. Per
Oh, that's
100.
not too bad, yeah.
So call it 10 kilometers per. Fuel is not really expensive. It's the rucks that kills
That
us.
counts up. Yeah.
Because diesel is cheap,
Yeah.
so you fill it up, but then the rucks accumulate and you fall behind, and you don't want to do that because you're going to get penalized and you can get a fine.
Yeah. Every time you go for a waff, they send you a nice letter. Probably forgot to do this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of hidden costs that we don't realize, but that's why sit down with the accountant or a business advisor or a mentor, whoever, and guys that's gone through this, successful or not. It's not about how successful you are. I think it's the guys that's done the hard yards.
Oh, yeah.
To see where all the obstacles are and where the red tape might be and compliance and stuff like that. But your accountant should be the go-to person.
Yeah. So you guys start off, they struggle, eventually they reach success, or what everybody's success perceived is different. Your success is different than what I perceive success and so forth. What do you think is the one big expense once you have reached success? What is the one big expense you should do?
Big expense that we should do in terms of capital layout. Or
I think capital layout, do something else with your money. I mean, the money is now pooling in your account.
Well, I think to run a business that doesn't have any liabilities, vehicle finance, stuff like that, that's one thing. Pay that off.
So get debt free.
Yeah. So you don't want to work for your debt. And I think that's
expensive.
yeah. And you don't want to go to the bank for an overdraft. Rather have your own money that you use for an overdraft.
That's right.
Don't rely on financial institutions to be your cash flow. And then if you've got money left over, try to expand, buy more tools and equipment. We've seen the tools that we use that makes the job easier. The productivity goes up.
That's
so don't
right.
be scared to buy tools. There's no second-hand value for tools.
Yeah.
But, just...
But if the thing works better, it works better.
Yeah,
It
keep
saves
on-
you time, money, and everything else.
Yeah, keep on buying.
Yeah.
The more tools you have, the more variety you have, the easier your job's going to be.
That's right.
Try to buy bulk because you get better prices. Try to use one supplier
Okay.
so that you can negotiate better rates from then, your suppliers, your hardware stores, whatever.
Yeah.
Try to be loyal towards them because that's where you get your good rates.
Yeah. And also easier if something breaks and you've been buying from a Maitre 10 or a Bunnings or one of these places that's local.
Yep.
It's easier to replace the stuff.
Absolutely.
So if you've got to import some stuff from Asia or from Australia or somewhere else, I mean, you still got to pay the thing to go back and then hope they see it's wrong and then send stuff back.
Yeah, so that's what we did. Is we started to buy all our own side fencing, stuff like that. Try to keep everything. Yes, you need a yard for that. So that
and you need money for that because it's not for free.
So that's what we try to do. Buy as much as stuff as what we can with the profits that we make.
That's right.
Because then you become self-reliant, self-sustainable. And when a client says, listen, can you go and do that? You take the fencing and you go to site. You don't have to wait on someone else.
And you can probably get a bit of a better price from you guys than from the guy that's got to rent everything every time. So
yeah, absolutely. Because you don't pay their markups. You don't pay
that's right.
Their profit. So, yeah.
Any wise words as a final?
No, I think for 2026, I think it's going to be a difficult year for a lot of businesses. So, and if your business fails in 2026, it's not because you did something wrong. The economy is very fragile. And I think you have to be aware of that. If this concept doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Yeah. The nice thing about New Zealand is if your business fails, you can just go work for your employer.
It is.
But I think 2026 is still going to be a very difficult year, and we speak to a lot of people. Listen, there's companies that does awesome.
Yeah.
Profits are up, and they're doing good. And there's a lot of companies that just can't get out of the debt, and which has been difficult for the past 2 years. The economy for the past 3 years really has been very tough.
Yeah, it's been tough.
2026 is going to be the same, and I think probably mid 2027. That's what we forecast. And I actually speak to my competitors, and we sit around the table and have a chat about it. And they've all got the same
feeling.
Same feeling, yeah.
So, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
No, thank you.
And wish you success and best of luck with the business chamber now.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.